My fiancée slept with her ex and two total strangers at her bachelorette party, so I vanished quietly, but what I did next shattered her perfect life forever. "It was nothing," she said. "You'll have me forever after the wedding." Her mascara was streaking down her face as she stood in our kitchen, still wearing last night's clothes. "Just a stupid mistake at my bachelorette party." I stared at her in disbelief, the video still playing in a loop inside my head, her naked between her ex and two random guys she'd just met at the club, all four of them laughing at the camera while her best friend cheered them on. 3 weeks before our wedding. And you call sleeping with 3 men while your friends filmed it? Nothing? She reached for my hand. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. Her diamond ring, the one that cost me 6 months' salary, caught the light as she grabbed my arm. "Everyone makes mistakes. Why are you making such a big deal about this?" I looked at this stranger wearing my fiancé's face. This woman whose family had embraced me like a son, whose name I'd imagined on our future children. A $38,000 wedding almost paid for. The honeymoon tickets on my nightstand. 6 years of my life invested in someone who could look me in the eyes and call betrayal a mistake. "Please," she begged, tears falling. "I'll do anything to fix this." I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I just nodded slowly, a strange calm washing over me. "You're right," I said quietly. "It was nothing." The relief in her eyes was immediate. She had no idea what I was really thinking. No idea what I was about to set in motion that would change both our lives forever. What would you do if the person you trusted most betrayed you weeks before your wedding? Would you walk away, or would you make them face the consequences of their actions? Follow this journey to see how one man's dignified response to betrayal ultimately led to his redemption. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. But when you're in love, truly, deeply in love, you view everything through rose-colored glasses. You make excuses. You ignore red flags. I met Sarah during my last year of college at a local coffee shop. I was buried in textbooks, cramming for finals. She was working as a barista, making ends meet while taking night classes. When she delivered my 3rd coffee of the night with a free cookie, I looked up and immediately lost my train of thought. Her smile was radiant, genuine in a way you rarely see in people. "You look like you need this more than money," she said, nodding at the cookie. "Brain food." We talked for hours that night after her shift ended. She was easy to talk to, funny in a dry, unexpected way, and when she laughed, something inside me just clicked. We exchanged numbers, and within a few weeks, we were inseparable. The first 2 years were like a dream. We moved in together after I landed my first real job as an engineer. She switched to a marketing position at a local firm and thrived there. We shared the same values, wanted the same future. At least I thought we did. It wasn't until year 3 that little cracks started appearing, so small I could easily dismiss them. Sarah would go out with her friends more often, staying out later each time. "Just blowing off steam," she'd say when she crawled into bed at 2 a.m., smelling of alcohol and cigarettes, even though she supposedly quit smoking years ago. Her best friend, Jessica, was always the instigator, a perpetually single party girl who seemed to resent our relationship, subtly undermining it whenever possible. "Don't be such an old married couple," she'd say when I suggested Sarah and I spend a weekend away. "You have your whole lives to be boring." Slat, Sarah would laugh it off, but I noticed how she changed around Jessica. More reckless, more focused on appearances, more concerned with what others thought. "I'm just having fun," she'd say when I mentioned it. "Stop overanalyzing everything." Then there was her ex, Tyler. The one who got away, according to Jessica. He moved back to town in our 4th year together, and suddenly he was showing up at group outings, texting Sarah about catching up. I voiced my discomfort once, only to be accused of being controlling. "We're just friends," Sarah insisted. "I'm with you, aren't I? Don't you trust me?" Of course I trusted her. I loved her. I believed her when she said those late nights were innocent. I believed her when she said those text messages from Tyler were just friendly banter. I believed her when she said she wanted to spend her life with me. When I proposed on our 5th anniversary, Sarah cried and said yes immediately. She threw herself into wedding planning with an enthusiasm that erased any doubts I'd had. We picked venues, tasted cakes, created guest lists. Her parents, though initially hesitant about me, I wasn't for money like they were, gradually warmed up as they saw how happy I made their daughter. Or so I thought. She deserves one last wild weekend, Jessica announced at our engagement dinner. A proper bachelorette, no holds barred. Something in her tone made my stomach twist, but Sarah squeezed my hand under the table. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I won't do anything crazy." So I didn't worry when she left for her bachelorette party in Vegas with Jessica and 6 other friends. I didn't worry when the texts became sporadic and vague. I didn't worry when she didn't answer my call on the second night. I should have worried. I should have listened to that nagging feeling that something wasn't right. But I was too busy putting the final touches on our wedding, too busy believing in a future that was already crumbling beneath my feet. Then came the anonymous email with the video attachment and a simple message: "You deserve to know the truth before you say I do." And just like that, the illusion shattered. Have you ever experienced that gut-wrenching moment when everything you believed about someone turns out to be a lie? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe for the next chapter of this story where we discover exactly how James turns his pain into purpose. I'll never forget the moment I opened that email. It was 2:13 a.m., 3 days after Sarah had returned from Vegas. I couldn't sleep, partly because of pre-wedding jitters, partly because something felt off about Sarah since she'd gotten back. She seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly, laughing a bit too loudly at mundane things. When I'd ask about Vegas, she'd give vague answers, "So fun," or "just the usual girl stuff," before quickly changing the subject. That night, Sarah had fallen asleep early, claiming exhaustion from wedding stress. I was working late on my laptop when the email arrived from an address I didn't recognize: truth.youdeserve@gmail.com. The subject line read, "Open this when you're alone." My first instinct was to delete it, probably spam, but something made me click. The message was brief: "You deserve to know the truth before you say, I do." Below was a video attachment. I hesitated before clicking play. Some part of me already knew what I'd find, even as I denied the possibility. The video started with shaky footage of a hotel suite, clearly in Vegas, with the strip visible through floor-to-ceiling windows. Music thumped in the background as the camera panned across scattered champagne bottles and discarded clothing. Then Sarah came into frame, dancing in the center of the room, clearly intoxicated but not incoherent. She was laughing as she pulled Tyler, her ex, into view. My stomach dropped. What was he even doing there? He wasn't supposed to be part of the bachelorette weekend. "Come on, birthday boy," Sarah slurred, wrapping her arms around his neck. "Let's give you a proper celebration." Birthday boy? Tyler's birthday was months away. I knew because Sarah still had it marked in her calendar, something she'd explained away as just habit. The camera zoomed out to reveal 2 other men I didn't recognize, drinking and cheering them on. Jessica's voice came from behind the camera. "That's it, Sarah. Last chance for freedom." I felt physically ill as I watched Sarah kiss Tyler deeply, then turn to the other men with a provocative smile. "Don't be shy, boys," she purred. "There's enough of me to go around." What followed was too explicit, too painful to recount in detail, but I forced myself to watch every second of my fiancée betraying our relationship, betraying the promises we'd made to each other, betraying the future we'd planned together. The worst moment came near the end. Sarah, surrounded by the 3 men, looked directly at the camera and said, "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? No one has to know." Jessica's voice again, "Don't worry, babe. This is your special night. No one will ever tell lover boy." The men laughed. Sarah giggled. He'd never understand anyway. Too serious, too conventional. Another voice, one of the random guys, "His loss, our gain." More laughter, more betrayal, until the video finally mercifully ended. I sat in the dark of our home office, the blue light of my laptop screen illuminating my shaking hands. 6 years. 6 years of believing I knew this woman, of planning a life with her, of trusting her completely. Gone in 8 minutes and 37 seconds of video. I must have made a noise, a gasp or sob, because suddenly, Sarah was standing in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Babe, what are you doing up so late?" she asked, her voice thick with sleep. I turned my laptop toward her, the final frame of the video frozen on screen, her smiling face surrounded by 3 naked men. The color drained from her face instantly. "Where did you get that?" she whispered, suddenly wide awake. "Does it matter?" My voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. She rushed to me, panic rising in her eyes. "It's not, I was drunk. I didn't." "Didn't what, Sarah? Didn't sleep with 3 men, including your ex, while your friends recorded it? Didn't laugh about how I'd never understand? Didn't betray everything we've built together?" "You don't understand," she pleaded, grabbing my arm. "It was just physical, just stupid Vegas craziness. It meant nothing." I looked at her, really looked at her, searching for any trace of the woman I thought I knew. How can you say having sex with 3 men meant nothing? How can betrayal ever mean nothing? It was Jessica's idea. Tyler just showed up and things got out of hand. I was drunk, I wasn't thinking clearly. Tears streamed down her face as she dropped to her knees in front of me. "Please, James, I love you, only you. This was a mistake, a stupid, awful mistake." I stood up, suddenly needing distance between us. "A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill, Sarah. This was a choice, multiple choices. You chose to let Tyler come to your bachelorette. You chose to get drunk with him there. You chose to sleep with him and 2 strangers while your friends filmed it." It was nothing," she screamed, desperation making her voice crack. "Why are you making such a big deal about this?" And there it was, the moment I realized she didn't regret betraying me, she regretted getting caught. "Nothing?" I echoed, a strange calm settling over me despite the hurricane of emotions inside. "You're right, it was nothing. Our relationship was nothing. The past 6 years were nothing. The wedding, the future we planned, all nothing." I walked past her to our bedroom and pulled out my duffel bag, her pleas following me like a sad soundtrack. "What are you doing?" "James, please, we can fix this. I'll do anything." I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. I spent that night at my best friend Mark's apartment, staring at the ceiling as he snored on the couch, having given me his bed despite my protests. Sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the video. Sarah with those men, laughing, carefree, as if our relationship meant nothing. "Dude, you look like hell," Mark said the next morning, handing me a cup of coffee. "Did you sleep at all?" I shook my head. "How do you sleep when your entire life just imploded?" Mark sat across from me, his expression grave. He'd been the first person I called after leaving our apartment, the only person I trusted enough to see me shatter. "What are you going to do about the wedding?" The wedding, 3 weeks away. Deposits paid, invitations sent, family flying in from across the country. "Cancel it," I said, the words tasting bitter but necessary. "All of it." Mark nodded, pulling out his laptop. "I'll help. We can split the list, who to call, what to cancel." My phone buzzed constantly. Sarah, her parents, her bridesmaids. I ignored them all, focusing instead on the practical tasks of dismantling what should have been the happiest day of our lives. By noon, Sarah's calls became frantic, her texts increasingly desperate. "Please come home so we can talk. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Please give me a chance to explain. I love you. Don't throw everything away over one mistake." "My parents are freaking out." "What did you tell them?" I hadn't told them anything yet. That would come later. Around 3 p.m., an unfamiliar number called. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Is this James?" A woman's voice, slightly slurred even though it was mid-afternoon. "Who's asking?" "It's Jessica. Sarah's best friend, the one who filmed everything, the one who encouraged the whole thing." I nearly hung up, but curiosity won out. "What do you want?" "Look, Sarah's a mess. You need to talk to her. Work this out." The audacity took my breath away. "Work this out? Are you serious right now?" It was just a bachelorette thing. Her tone was dismissive, as if I were overreacting. "Everyone does crazy stuff at these things. It's like expected. Expected to sleep with your ex and 2 strangers while your friends film it? That's normal to you?" Jessica sighed dramatically. It's not like she's going to do it again. It was her last chance for freedom before. Freedom? I cut her off, anger finally breaking through the shock. Marriage isn't prison, Jessica. It's a choice. A choice to be faithful, to respect the person you claim to love. Whatever, she muttered. Sarah said you're canceling everything. Do you know how much money her parents put down for deposits? How embarrassing this is for everyone? I laughed, a hollow sound I barely recognized. Yeah, I'm the one making things embarrassing. Not Sarah sleeping with 3 guys, not you filming it and treating it like some achievement. You'll regret this, Jessica said, her voice turning cold. Sarah's the best thing that ever happened to you. You'll never find anyone like her again. Thank God for that, I replied, ending the call. I blocked Jessica's number immediately, then did something I should have done hours ago. I blocked Sarah too. The constant barrage of messages was preventing me from thinking clearly, from processing what had happened and what needed to happen next. Mark returned from picking up takeout and found me staring at my phone. Everything okay? Jessica called, I said. Apparently I'm overreacting to Sarah's last chance at freedom. Mark's face darkened. That's messed up, man. Really messed up. We ate in silence for a while before Mark spoke again. You know this isn't your fault, right? None of it. I nodded, but in truth I was already replaying our relationship in my mind, looking for signs I'd missed, red flags I'd ignored. The late nights with just the girls. The texts from Tyler she'd hide when I entered the room. The sudden password on her phone last year after a phone hacking scare at work. I think, I said slowly, this might not have been the first time. Mark looked at me, understanding dawning in his eyes. You think she's cheated before? I pulled out my phone, scrolling to the video again. Not to watch it, but to check the email it came from. Whoever sent this knew what was happening. They knew I needed to see it. You think someone's trying to help you? I think someone knows more than they're saying. I forwarded the email to myself, then stood up. And I'm going to find out exactly what Sarah's been hiding all these years. Over the next few days, I moved methodically, like someone else was controlling my body while my mind remained oddly detached. I rented a small furnished apartment with a month-to-month lease. I took a week off work, citing a family emergency, which wasn't entirely untrue. The life I'd planned had died. I was in mourning. I'd always considered myself a straightforward guy. If someone wronged me, I'd confront them directly, hash it out, and move on. But this betrayal ran too deep for simple confrontation. This required strategy. She keeps showing up at my place, Mark said when I called to check in, crying, demanding to know where you are. Her parents came by yesterday too. What did you tell them? That it's not my place to get involved, but they should ask their daughter what really happened in Vegas. Mark paused. I think they know something's up, but not exactly what. That was about to change. My first step was securing the evidence. I saved the video to multiple secure locations, then reached out to the anonymous email address. Thank you for sending this. I need to know more. Who are you? To my surprise, I got a response within hours. Someone who knows Sarah isn't who she pretends to be. Check your inbox in 30 minutes. The second email contained screenshots of text conversations between Sarah and Tyler spanning the last 2 years. Conversations filled with flirtation, inside jokes, and plans to meet up when I was out of town. Not definitive proof of physical cheating, but emotional infidelity at minimum. How did you get these? I replied. Tyler's ex-girlfriend. He left his iPad logged into his messages. I've been watching their conversations for months. Vegas wasn't the first time, just the most blatant. Suddenly, the pieces started falling into place. The business trips, where Sarah was unreachable for hours. The girls' nights that mysteriously coincided with my late work meetings. The unexplained receipts for hotel parking when she claimed to be at Jessica's place. I'd been blind. Willfully perhaps, but blind nonetheless. Have you told Sarah you have these? I asked my anonymous informant. No, I wanted you to have everything first. You seem like a decent guy. You deserve to know before marrying her. The next day, I contacted our wedding vendors. Many were sympathetic once I explained the situation vaguely. Unforeseen circumstances, relationship ended, but a few balked at refunds despite the 3-week notice. Sarah's parents had paid most deposits, but we'd split the remaining balances, with final payments due the week before the wedding. I documented everything meticulously. Who I spoke to, what was refundable, what wasn't. Not out of any desire to recoup costs, but because information had become my armor. Knowledge was the only thing stopping me from falling apart completely. Then I visited my bank. I'd like to close our joint account, I told the manager, a kind woman who didn't ask questions when I transferred my half of our savings to a new individual account. We'd been saving for a house down payment, $28,000 that would now go toward rebuilding my life alone. Sarah had always been the social one in our relationship, cultivating friendships with couples and individuals alike, but I had my own trusted circle. People who knew me before Sarah, who would understand the truth rather than whatever spin she and Jessica would inevitably try to put on our breakup. I called each of them personally. No dramatic revelations, just simple facts. The wedding's off. Sarah cheated. I have proof. I'm okay, but I need some time. 5 days after leaving our apartment, I finally turned my phone back on, bypassing the flood of missed calls and texts from Sarah to compose a mass email to our wider circle of friends, family, and wedding guests. Due to circumstances beyond my control, Sarah and I will not be getting married on June 12th. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause regarding travel plans or gifts. All gifts received thus far will be returned. Please respect my privacy during this difficult time. Simple, dignified, and guaranteed to make Sarah panic as she wondered exactly what I knew and who I'd told. The final phase of my plan required the most courage. I contacted Sarah's parents directly, requesting a meeting the following day at a neutral location, a quiet cafe downtown. They were confused but agreed immediately, likely hoping to salvage the wedding plans. Before that meeting, I had one more call to make, to the father of the bride. "Mr. Collins," I said when he answered, my voice steadier than I felt. "I need to speak with you and Mrs. Collins in person tomorrow. I'll be bringing my laptop." "James, what is going on?" His voice was strained with confusion and growing concern. "Sarah's hysterical, saying you've disappeared, you're not answering calls." "I'll explain everything tomorrow," I replied. "But I need to know, did Sarah tell you why I left?" A pause. "She said you had a fight about something trivial, cold feet, misunderstanding." "Ask her about Vegas," I said quietly. "Ask her what really happened at her bachelorette party, and ask yourself why she might be hiding it from you." The silence on the other end told me everything. He was a traditional man who'd raised Sarah with certain values she'd thoroughly betrayed, not just with me, but in how they'd appear to their social circle. Image meant everything to the Collins family. 10 a.m. tomorrow, I confirmed before hanging up. "I'll show you exactly who your daughter really is." As I packed the evidence, the video, the texts, the timeline I'd constructed of Sarah's deceptions, I felt no triumph, no righteousness, just a cold clarity of purpose. This wasn't about revenge, it was about consequences. Sarah had made her choices. Now she would face them. The cafe I chose for meeting Sarah's parents was deliberately public yet private, busy enough that they wouldn't make a scene, but with corner booths where conversations couldn't be easily overheard. I arrived 20 minutes early, set up my laptop, and ordered a black coffee I had no intention of drinking. At precisely 10 a.m., Robert and Diane Collins walked in. They'd always been impeccably put together. Him in tailored suits, her in designer dresses, maintaining the perfect image of success. Today, though, Robert's tie was slightly askew, and Diane's eyes were rimmed with red behind her sunglasses. "James," Robert extended his hand, his grip firm but uncertain. "I hope this meeting will clear things up. Sarah is devastated." I gestured for them to sit. "Thank you for coming. I know this is difficult." Diane removed her sunglasses, eyes searching mine. "James, whatever happened, surely you two can work through it. Couples fight, especially before weddings. The stress." "This isn't about stress, Mrs. Collins," I said quietly, "or a fight, or cold feet." Robert frowned, Then what exactly is it about? You asked me about Vegas on the phone. I took a deep breath. Before I show you what I discovered, I want you to know that I loved your daughter. I wanted to spend my life with her. What I'm about to share with you isn't meant to hurt you, but you deserve the truth. I turned my laptop toward them, but didn't press play yet. This video was anonymously sent to me 3 days after Sarah returned from Vegas. It shows her at her bachelorette party. I don't understand, Diane said. What could possibly be on that video that would end your engagement? Instead of answering, I played the first 30 seconds, just enough to establish what was happening without subjecting them to the explicit details. Sarah, Tyler, the two strangers, Jessica's voice encouraging them. Robert's face turned ashen. Diane gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. I stopped the video. I'm sorry, I didn't want to show you that, but you needed to understand. Turn it off, Robert said hoarsely. Just turn it off. I closed the laptop. There's more. Text messages between Sarah and her ex going back 2 years, evidence of other incidents. Diane was crying silently now. There must be some explanation. She would never. She did, I said gently, and when confronted, she said it meant nothing, that I was making too big a deal out of it. Robert's hands trembled as he reached for his water glass. Does anyone else know about this? Not the details, I assured him. I've only told my closest friends that she cheated. I haven't shared the video with anyone. The relief on their faces was palpable, but short-lived. Yet, I added. Robert's head snapped up. What does that mean? It means that while I have no desire to humiliate Sarah publicly, I won't allow her to control the narrative of our breakup either. She's already telling people I overreacted to a misunderstanding, that I'm unreasonable, possibly unstable. What do you want? Robert asked, his business instincts kicking in despite the personal crisis. 3 things. First, Sarah stops contacting me. No calls, no texts, no showing up at my friends' homes. Second, any shared expenses for the wedding that can't be refunded, her family covers. I've documented everything. I slid a folder across the table. And third, she tells the truth to everyone. No more lies about why the wedding is off. Diane wiped her tears, composing herself. And if we do this, you'll keep that video private? I nodded. I have no desire to destroy Sarah's reputation. I just want a clean break and the truth acknowledged. Robert flipped through the expense documentation, his financial mind automatically calculating costs, even as his parental heart was breaking. This seems reasonable. One more thing, I said, pulling out my phone. I've scheduled a meeting with both of you, Sarah, and her maid of honor, Jessica, at your home tonight at 7 p.m. I want to hear Sarah admit the truth to your faces. Jessica? Diane questioned. Why would she need to be there? Because she was the one filming everything, encouraging it. She's been enabling Sarah's behavior for years. I stood up. 7 p.m. I'll see you then. The confrontation that follows will change everyone's lives forever. How far would you go to protect your dignity when betrayed? Like, share, and subscribe to see how James orchestrates a perfect ending that doesn't sacrifice his integrity. The Collins house was exactly as I remembered, elegant, immaculate, a showcase of their success. Tonight, though, it felt like a funeral home. Sarah was waiting in the living room, jumping up when I entered. James, you came. I knew you'd. She froze when she saw my expression. What's going on? Why are my parents here? Why is Jessica here? Jessica sat nervously on the edge of the sofa, looking everywhere but at me. Sit down, Sarah, Robert said, his voice harder than I'd ever heard it. Daddy, what's wrong? James showed us the video, Diane said quietly, from Vegas. All color drained from Sarah's face. What? You showed them that? She turned to me, outrage replacing shock. How could you? That was private. Private? I echoed. Like our relationship was supposed to be? It was just a stupid mistake, she cried. Robert stood up, towering over his daughter. A mistake? You call what we saw a mistake? James is blowing this out of proportion. It was just physical. It didn't mean anything. Stop saying that. I finally raised my voice. Stop acting like betrayal means nothing because it was just physical. Stop pretending this is the first time when I have 2 years of text between you and Tyler. Jessica's head snapped up. 2 years? Sarah, you said it was just that one time last year. The room went silent. Sarah stared at Jessica in horror. What one time last year? I asked, looking between them. Jessica looked trapped. I thought he knew. Knew what? Robert demanded. Jessica swallowed hard. The company Christmas party. Sarah and Tyler. It wasn't the first time they… Shut up, Jessica! Sarah screamed. Just shut up! But it was too late. The truth was unraveling faster than Sarah could spin it. Her parents watched in stunned silence as the daughter they thought they knew revealed herself to be someone else entirely. I stood up, surprisingly calm despite the chaos. I think we're done here. Sarah, you have my terms. Your parents have the documentation. I trust you'll all do the right thing. As I walked out, leaving Sarah sobbing on the couch with her parents and Jessica in shocked silence, I felt no satisfaction, no triumph, just relief that the truth was finally out. The revenge wasn't public humiliation or widespread shame. It was simply this. Sarah would have to live with who she really was, not the facade she'd created. And that, I knew, would be punishment enough. 6 months after walking out of the Collins house, I stood on the balcony of my new apartment, watching the sunset paint the city skyline in shades of orange and gold. The pain hadn't disappeared entirely, I doubted it ever would, but it had transformed into something manageable, almost instructive. The weeks following the confrontation had been chaotic. Sarah alternated between desperate pleas and vicious accusations until her father finally stepped in. Robert Collins was many things, but above all, he was a man who protected his family's reputation. Once he realized the extent of Sarah's deceptions, he took control of the situation with ruthless efficiency. All wedding cancellations were handled through their family attorney. Guests received formal notifications citing irreconcilable differences. Sarah was whisked away to their lake house, ostensibly for emotional recovery, but really to remove her from the social circuit until the gossip died down. Jessica faced her own consequences. After that night, Sarah's parents viewed her as a corrupting influence. Robert made calls to his business connections, including the CEO of the marketing firm where Jessica worked. She was passed over for a promotion she'd been expecting, then gradually sidelined until she finally quit. Last I heard, she'd moved to another state. As for Tyler, his wife had finally seen the full extent of his betrayal. Their divorce proceedings had begun shortly after Vegas, accelerated by the video evidence. He tried reaching out to Sarah once the dust settled, but by then, even she had enough self-awareness to shut that door. My own healing was slower, more deliberate. I started therapy, something I'd always viewed as unnecessary for normal problems. But betrayal of this magnitude wasn't normal, and I needed professional help to process it. Trust will be difficult for you, my therapist warned during our 3rd session. But don't mistake caution for closure. Being careful about who you let in doesn't mean keeping everyone out. I took her advice to heart, slowly reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during my relationship with Sarah. I joined a rock climbing group, something I'd always wanted to try but Sarah had dismissed as too dangerous. I focused on my career, earning a promotion that allowed me to buy this apartment with its beautiful city view. Mark checked in regularly, making sure I wasn't isolating myself. You know, he said one evening over beers, you handled that whole mess better than anyone I know would have. I shook my head. I was a wreck. Yeah, but a dignified wreck. You didn't trash her publicly. You didn't go scorched earth. You just held up a mirror and made her see herself. Perhaps he was right. In my darkest moments after discovering the video, I'd fantasized about public humiliation, sending the video to everyone we knew, posting screenshots of her texts, destroying her carefully cultivated image. But what would that have accomplished, really? It would have momentarily satisfied my anger, but ultimately diminished me. The genuine revenge wasn't in destruction, but in reconstruction, rebuilding my life, stronger and more authentic than before. Sarah lost not because I orchestrated her downfall, but because she couldn't escape the reality of who she was and what she'd done. I received a letter from Diane Collins about 4 months after everything fell apart. It was formal, almost businesslike, but between the carefully chosen words was a mother's pain and a grudging respect. "While we will never approve of how things ended between you and our daughter," she wrote, "we understand your actions and acknowledge that Sarah's choice led to these consequences. We wish you well in your future endeavors." It wasn't an apology. The Collins family didn't do apologies, but it was a recognition, a period at the end of a chapter. Sarah herself reached out only once more, a text message late one night. "I'm sorry. I know it doesn't change anything, but I am." I didn't respond. Some doors, once closed, should remain that way. Standing on my balcony as the last light faded from the sky, I realized I no longer thought about Sarah every day. The image of her with those men no longer flashed in my mind whenever I closed my eyes. The anger had dissolved, leaving behind a quiet wisdom. I had loved unwisely but completely. I had trusted someone who didn't deserve it. I had been betrayed in the worst way possible. And yet, here I stood. Not broken, not bitter, but resilient. Transformed. Some people never recover from betrayal. They let it define them, harden them, close them off from future possibilities. I decided early on that wouldn't be my story. A year and a half after the wedding that never happened, I received an unexpected email from Tyler's ex-wife, Melissa, the anonymous source who'd sent me the video that changed everything. "I'm going to be in town next week for a conference. Would you be open to grabbing coffee? There's something you should know." We met at a quiet cafe downtown. Melissa looked different from the few social media photos I'd seen, more confident, less made up, with a calm presence that immediately put me at ease. "Thank you for meeting me," she said after we'd ordered. "I wasn't sure you'd want to revisit any of this." "Honestly, I've made peace with it," I replied, "but I never properly thanked you for sending me that video. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life." She smiled sadly. "That's partly why I wanted to see you. There's something you don't know about that night in Vegas." My stomach tightened. "What do you mean?" "The bachelorette party wasn't as spontaneous as it seemed," Melissa said, stirring her coffee. "It was planned, not just by Jessica, but by Tyler too." She pulled out her phone, scrolling to find something. After our divorce was finalized, I was cleaning out old emails and found this. She handed me her phone. On the screen was an email exchange between Tyler and Jessica from 3 weeks before the bachelorette party. "Tyler, is everything set for Vegas? All arranged. Sarah thinks it's just us girls. She'll be surprised when I show up with the guys. She'll pretend to be shocked, but we both know she's been waiting for this chance. Just make sure you get it all on video like we discussed. Don't worry, by the time we're done, James will never want to see her again." I stared at the screen, a cold realization washing over me. They planned it specifically to sabotage our wedding? Melissa nodded grimly. "Tyler wanted Sarah back. He always regretted breaking up with her in college, and Jessica never wanted us together in the first place," I finished, remembering all the subtle ways Jessica had undermined our relationship over the years. "I'm not telling you this to reopen old wounds," Melissa said gently. "Sarah still made her choices. She still betrayed you willingly, but I thought you deserved to know the full truth." I handed her phone back, surprisingly calm despite this revelation. "Thank you for telling me. It actually helps in a strange way." "How so?" It confirms what my therapist suggested, that Sarah had probably been unfaithful before, that there were likely patterns I missed. I shook my head, smiling ruefully. Also explains why Tyler was even at a bachelorette party in the first place. As we finished our coffee, Melissa mentioned she'd recently accepted a job offer in the city and would be moving here permanently. "New start, new place," she said with a smile that reached her eyes. We walked out together, and for the first time in nearly 2 years, I felt a spark of interest in someone new. Not because she'd saved me from Sarah, but because of the integrity it took to come forward, both then and now. "Would you like to get dinner sometime?" I asked as we reached the sidewalk. Not to talk about the past, just to see what might be in the future. Her smile was answer enough. Sometimes, the universe has a strange way of bringing the right people into your life. even if they arrive through the aftermath of betrayal. Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately led to something better? Or wondered how you would handle such a situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe for more stories of resilience and redemption, and don't forget to like if James's journey resonated with you. Your experiences might help others navigating similar painful chapters in their lives.